Good evening and welcome to the IPA Premier League of Poole. We are at the Riley's Poole and Snooker Club in Solihull for another fantastic night of pool action. Last night we saw the first 5 games in the Phase 2 of the league, and it was a good night for Neil Raybone and Mark Boyle. A disappointing night for Craig Marsh, but we have 5 more fantastic matches for you tonight. Mark Boyle, Neil Raybone, Jimmy Carney and Gareth Hibbert will be playing, and we'll be starting off with Mark Boyle versus Neil Raybone. So it's Mark Boyle from Scotland on your left and Neil Raybone from England on your right. Both players had a win and a draw last night. Mark moving himself into the top 4 and Neil just maintaining his top 4 position. Both players have still got some work to do to make it into the finals night. Top 4 players after Phase 2 will move it into finals night. As always, it's a 30-second shot clock. And those of you that haven't seen Phase 2, we are a slightly reduced race. We're playing 6-frame format, so it's race to 4 with a 3-3 tie possible. And it is Neil, the Englishman, that has won the lag and will get to break first. It's a very, very important night for all the players, but probably more so for Mark Boyle, simply because after tonight he will have played all his matches in Phase 2. He plays 3 matches tonight, and he will have, after tonight, he'll have nothing left he can do but sit back and watch the rest of the guys fight it out in the final qualifying night. So he needs to get as many points on the board as he can. Whatever happens tonight, Neil's probably going to still have it in his own hands come the finals night, or the final qualifying night. So it's maybe slightly less pressure on Neil, but every point and every frame is going to be vitally important. And an absolutely crunching first break from Neil. He's made 3 balls, absolutely throwing the balls all over the table. That is as good and as clean as he can hit that break. He does have a couple of problem areas he needs to work out depending on which colour set he goes. It goes without saying, the red and yellow on the left-hand side, that's his major problem. I was going to say whether he goes reds or yellows, but he's decided on reds. He's going to have to get into that area, try and develop that red. Doesn't really, well, he can't double it anywhere. The yellow's blocking it to the centre, and the yellow's on the rails blocking it to the corner, so will need to develop that ball. Can probably do it off his next shot. If he takes red to the corner, he can screw up into them. He just didn't quite get into it enough. He caught the rail a little bit too low. He didn't catch the red thick enough, and the red stays welded to that yellow, and it hasn't developed. And worse so, he's not on the next ball either, so he doesn't really have an option to go for anything from here. And you hear the peeping in the background. That is the shot clock running down. 30 seconds absolutely flies by. And each player gets 1 30-second extension per frame, but Neil had already used his extension, so had to play that one fairly quickly. No thoughts of the finish from Mark, just trying to make reds worse whilst making yellows a little bit better. The only problem with that shot is, yes, he's made the red a mess. He's not welded it up on the black, but he's going to need to pot the black as well at some point. Mark may be thinking about trying to get the white in behind the black and red. It's a bit of a target there for him. Oh, he's played that very, very well. So it is a total snooker.
Total snooker.
It's important for Neil to get out of this because he doesn't want to give away a free shot so that Mark can open up the table. Needs to hit this to stay in the frame. And that he has done. But in truth, he's really hanging on the way the balls are at the moment. Wow, that's incredible. I cannot believe Mark's just done that. I'm in shock. I'm guessing I thought maybe he was trying to hit that a little bit thinner. But catching that full, that was always in danger. That really is incredible. I think Mark's shocked himself. He looks, I don't think he can believe quite what he's done there. Look at Mark's recent tournament history. You can see he's been absolutely fantastic form, winning the British Open just this past weekend, beating Gareth Hibbert, who we'll also see tonight, 7-5 in the final. And he's also had another title slightly earlier on this year. He won the Scottish professional event, I believe. So 2 titles in the season is a great effort, and he won multiple tournaments on the previous season. So absolutely one of the very informed players in the world at the moment.
Second frame, Mark Ball to break, trading 1 frame to 0. Time running.
Okay, it'll be interesting to see how Mark deals with that mistake he made. That's an absolute shocker, really. He needs to keep his head and not let that affect him. It's a good break. He's made a ball. Maybe not quite as clean a contact as he could possibly get on it, but he was clean enough, and it's a pretty good split apart from the yellow and black. It's almost a deja vu from the previous frame in terms of the way they ended up. He'll certainly be very wary of that black, especially with what happened on the previous frame. I think very keen to get himself reds. Really needed to be reds there, because if he takes yellows, the yellow by the black is very, very tough to solve. All the reds do go. The red at the top of the table looks tight. The black is potentially an issue for him as well, but much easier to solve than the yellows would have been. I suspect Mark may have been looking to cover the pocket, but I'd be surprised if he wasn't looking at the finish there. Taking the pocket, it doesn't give him much control. Gives Neil an opportunity to get this yellow over covering the black. So I think that was just a missed pot. Now that Neil's managed to get that yellow to cover that pocket, it gives him not only control, stops the red from going, stops the black from going, but also at the point when he wants to go for a finish, if he gets there, he has a ball to be able to develop that yellow and black. which is exactly why Mark has gone straight after the skill shot. Clear that yellow, get it out the way, and he's been a touch unfortunate to be. He's probably snookered here. Those of you wondering why that wasn't a foul from Mark, we're playing black ball rules. If you pot your ball, you can pot your opponent's ball as well. So well within his rights to do what he did, and exactly what he was attempting to do. Mark's not going to be happy with that leave. Yes, he's hit the red. Yes, he hasn't fouled, but he's opened up the black. He's opened up the yellow on the rail, but he's still kept the red safe. So, you know, this table's now more open for Neil than it is for Mark. Neil perhaps a touch rushed on that shot. You heard the beeps in the background. He'd reused his extension. So the frame almost taking a very similar pattern to frame one, with Mark now looking to try and make the Neil's yellows tough to clear, and Neil looking to open the game up for himself. Very much cat and mouse. Neil can still get to that yellow on the rail, but it's tight. It's not ideal. Okay, we'll see how aggressive Neil's looking to be here. He could cut this yellow down the rail now, and if he catches the red that he's next to, sort of half ball, it will pop the black open for him. I wouldn't say it's a free shot, but there's every chance if it doesn't go in that he's at least taking the pocket. In fact, he's chosen just to take the pocket, not thinking aggressively at all. Okay. Again, Mark not got a huge amount he can do, so he's just trying to keep it as absolutely as tight as possible. Mark just trying to get plant one of the reds in, maybe try and open up that pocket from the yellows, but it's all a bit too congested.
Touching ball, time running.
And we are playing such short races here that the pressure really is on every single shot and every single frame. So sometimes you can, maybe if you're playing a race to 7 or 8 or 10, you could maybe look to push the boat out a little bit more on an early frame rather than grinding it out. I think in these sort of situations you've got no choice but to try and your absolute best and grind as hard as you can, because you know if Mark loses this frame, he's 2-0 down and would have to win the final 4 frames to win this match. That's a spectacular pot coming off the side rail, making a plant into the corner. Absolutely fantastic shot. Now, if he can pot the red that's just above the black into the centre pocket, he may be able to just open or cannon into the black, and he may stay on another red to the corner. So it looks a long shot, but there's half a chance for a finish here. He needs one more good shot. Now the question is, he can obviously pot the red. He's got about half a pocket. Can he play it in such a way to move the yellow away from the pocket enough that he can then pot the other red? Needs to be playing red off the jaw into the yellow. And he's done it. Great shot, but he's snookered himself on the black. What an effort.
Time out.
And you just heard there Mark calling himself, total snooker, just letting the referee know, and he confirms he cannot see any of the red. Oh, it's another phenomenal shot. Those of you that were with us last week saw Mark make a black similar to this, but this is probably easier because it's a lot further away from the cushion. Oh, what a shot. Absolutely brilliant, brilliant. That is the best finish we will see in the Premier League of pool this year. That is an absolutely astonishing finish. Incredible. That's incredible. That's just, he's come to the first shot, he's gone 2 cushions to pot a plant down the rail to half a pocket. When you came to the table then, he had nothing on. Absolutely incredible. Every single shot in that visit was worthy of winning a frame. Absolutely fantastic. And to do that, having given away the first frame, just makes it even more impressive. Let's have a little look at Neil's recent tournament history, and probably the most consistent player of the past 2 years. Just regularly in last 16s, quarterfinals, finals. Won the English Open against Mark Boyle actually in the final earlier this year. Also won in Morocco last year, in the Netherlands last year, so plenty of titles over the last 2 seasons. Neil really is one of the players, one of the 4 players fighting it out for a season-ending #1 ranking. Dry break for Neil gives Mark an opportunity, and if he can capitalise on this, he would have just really wrestled the momentum back, having made that very crazy mistake in frame 1. And he's a couple of shots into this visit, and he's got them pretty much wide open, and as he wants to, just needs to be careful when he gets onto the side rail. That'll be the key for him here. I always think with these the balls on the rails like this, the one just above where the white is now, I always think if you can get good position on those pots, you're a big favourite to make them. You should make them if you get behind them. But look at the table, the way it's laid out. He doesn't have a good ball to get on the yellow down the rail. So it's going to be interesting to see when he goes after it and which ball he uses to get on it. There's a school of thought for leaving it for your last ball, because perhaps the black is the easiest ball to get on after it. The one in the middle of the table would be the easiest, but I'm not sure he can. I thought he might have to play that one next. Looks like he's going to go up for it now. And those two reds were big blockers. Man, he couldn't get couldn't really get right behind this yellow. He's on it quite nicely, but it's definitely missable. Great shot. And he's really worked this frame out really well. Knew it was all about that ball on the side rail, just worked out his pattern. And he's now got two simple balls left. I think he's just double checking that he's not catching the two reds on the side when he plays this, trying to make sure he commits to whichever pocket he wants to pop the black into. And he saw he did just brush them. I think what he was checking was that if he caught them a little bit fuller than he thought, that he could still have a black to the corner. But played it well, a simple black for a 2-1 lead.
Frame. Got TV brightener.
So I asked the question, how would he respond from that incredible mistake in frame one where he just potted the black, and he's responded very, very well with, in my opinion, the finish of the season, and then a very, very composed reverse finish. And he moves himself 2-1 ahead, and it'll be interesting to see how he goes in the rest of this match, and we will find out after the break. Welcome back to the IPA Premier League of Pool. We rejoin match one of the night. Mark Boyle from Scotland versus Neil Raybone from England. Currently 2-1 to Mark. And it's Mark's turn to come up dry. After making an incredible finish to go 1-1 and a very composed finish to go 2-1 ahead. He was just looking for one more ball to really get himself going in his match and give himself a couple of opportunities to win it, but as often happens, a dry break, and it's you have to sit down and wait for your opponent to have their chance. And this is a really good chance for Neil Raybone. Those reds are wide open. Every red has a pocket. No cannons required. The only ball that really needs major consideration is the black. It does not pop down the cushion. The yellow's in the way. It is in a nice position for a double. There's nothing blocking it for a double because the reds will be clear from the path. So it'd be interesting to see if he tries to move the black or he just accepts that he's going to be on a double for the black. I expect him to probably not worry about moving it. He does. He's a very good doubler of a ball, if that is a word. Now, if he is going to leave it for a double, I'll be surprised if he wants to play on the ball at the bottom of the table last. I think you'd rather not. He may be forced into it with the angle he's been left on that red. What he can't do when he comes down for this red at the bottom of the table, he cannot risk finishing straight. He needs angle on it to be able to make sure he can get the white back up somewhere near level with the black to be able to make the double. Needs a bounce, and that's no good. I think he's too straight. He may be forced into, he's looking now, can he come back to roughly where he's putting his cue there and play it as a sort of cross double from there. Other than that, he could probably come back to try and play it up the rail, but that's very, very high tariff. As is the double from here. If he manages to get the white up the table almost level with the black, I think it's a 19 out of a 20, certainly a 9 out of 10 double for him. From here, I think it's more like 7 out of 10. Yeah, and he got the double kiss. In fact, it probably didn't even screw back far enough to make it a 7 out of 10. It was probably less. Really tough from Neil. Needs to be careful of that white. It's going to pull up short. And one thing we've seen a lot with Paul, if you miss your last ball or the black, you're just leaving your opponent wide open. Whenever you miss your last ball, you do not expect to win that frame. You fully expect your opponent to, whether it be in one visit or require a couple of visits, you fully expect your opponent to win the frame once you do that.
Extension called.
You see Mark just using his extension, just trying to work out exactly what he's going to do for this finish. Two yellows at the top of the table do plant. They are set to the jaw, so he has to be careful that he doesn't squeeze it off, but they'll go. I'd be annoyed that he's pushed the yellow onto the rail just to make that a little bit harder. It won't cause him a huge problem. But it's the two yellows on the left-hand side that's more of a major concern. You may see him cannon into the top one here. And he's missed the cannon. He was trying to catch the top one of the two on the left-hand side, full in the face, keep himself on the other one down the rail and pop the other yellow into the open. And you saw his raise of his hand. It's he knows he's been a touch fortunate to even have another shot. one of those situations where it's probably a bit of the shot clock affecting that last shot from Mark. Had already used his extension. Didn't have too much time to come up with a new plan. Oh, what an effort. Wow. Is a great effort for the cut from Neil, but he'll be disappointed with where the white's finished. He would love to have not left Mark on the bottom yellow here, because he can now play the bottom yellow, and that opens up the path for the top yellow. He could even screw into the top yellow if he sees fit. No, yeah, a bit more angle than I thought. And it just makes the finish a little bit easier. If he had to pot a couple of balls to get to there, then it would have been trickier. Couple of options here for Mark. He's landed very, very nicely on the double, but he can also just play on the yellow down the rail. I'd be disappointed not to get closer to this pot down the rail. That white travels another foot, gets somewhere, maybe foot and a half, gets someone in the middle pocket, and you would not be expecting Mark to miss the pot. But from here, very, very missable. Great shot. Great bit of cueing from Mark, and you see the little tap on the knee from Neil. Appreciates a good shot, and simple black to go 3-1 ahead and guarantee himself a point in this match. And then it goes, and it is 3-1 to Mark. I think that's the first one that Neil's going to be really frustrated about, because he knows that was a really good opportunity for himself. It was a double that he would have expected to make, but the issue wasn't making the double. He didn't finish good on the double, and from where he was, it was very tough. And let's have a look at Mark's recent, or his results so far in this league, and you can see he's definitely got stronger as the weeks have gone on. Finished with a couple of wins in his last 3 matches in the phase 1, and last night 4-2 victory over Craig Marsh and a 3-3 draw with Simon Ward. He was 3-0 up in that match, so perhaps a tinge of disappointment, but if you'd offered him 4 points before the night started, I'm sure he would have taken it.
5th frame, Neil to break. Trading 3 frames to 1. Time running.
Wow, hit that break incredibly well. Hit that break as well as any of the threes had in this match, and he's come up dry for the 2nd time. He'll be sat in his chair now thinking, well, that's this match over. He'll be expecting Mark to take these out. Mark still has a lot of work to do. He can't think like that, but that's probably how Neil will be feeling. He's really crunched that break, got a lot of movement. Nearly, I think all but 3 balls went into the top half of the table and came back down. So much movement.
Yes, timeouts.
Okay, Mark had already used his extension, but just as he was about to pull the trigger there, he spotted a mark on the white. One of those strange situations that I'm not entirely convinced about with the cleaning of the white. Mark, he's got a shot clock. It's a 30-second shot clock. He's got a 30-second extension, which he used. but he also gets, when he wants the white cleaned, that's not in his own time. So he's asked for that white to be cleaned. And in a weird way, he gets a little bit of extra time. Not that he was doing it for that reason. You could see him clearly pointing at the ball. I'm sure there was a mark there. He wasn't trying to gain an unfair advantage. It's just one of those little grey area in the rules that I'm not really convinced about. It's lovely control from Mark. A lot of left-hand side to create that angle. When you've got a ball over a pocket, sometimes it's tricky to get good position, to get pinpoint position anyway. He was always going to be on a ball, but controlled it very, very well. So this finish for Mark all really hinges on the red that's above the yellow that's above the red in the centre of the table. I'm not sure how much room he's got to get on that yellow. I think there's enough, but it's also, depending on the angle he's got, he'll be, could be kissing into the red. So what control will he have off that shot? And that black is pretty well guarded by a red. So, there's still some issues to work out. So he's decided to leave that yellow over the right centre for his last ball. If there's more room there than it looks from this camera, then he can probably, if he gets straight enough on it, he can pot it. But there's not that much room. It depends on. He's got to be careful when he plays that shot. Yeah, so he's guaranteed to be hitting the red. So he needs to move the red far enough out of the way to be on the black, but not come back too far to be blocked by the other red. Oh, it's played to perfection. Made that shot look like it was very, very simple when it really wasn't. And with his second reverse dish of the night, Mark Boyle does complete a 4-1 victory. Slightly strange match in the fact that the first frame he potted the black mid-frame, and then pulled out, for me, the clearance of the tournament so far. Just an incredible finish, and then a couple of finishes off Neil's break and another frame as well. So a well-deserved victory, and he really has started phase 2 very, very strongly. And we will be back for our second match after the break. And welcome back to the IPA Premier League of Paul. Fantastic 4-1 victory for Mark Boyle in match 1 tonight, and that moves him up to 3rd in the table. Now has 19 points from his 12 matches. He did start phase 2 in 6th place and in the most danger of not making a top 4 finish for finals night, but 2 wins and a draw so far in phase 2, and he's moving himself up very, very nicely. He's also his victor, or his victim, if that's the right word, is Neil Raybone. He stays on 19, but stays just ahead of Mark on frame difference. Next up for us tonight, it's Jimmy Carney versus Gareth Hibbert, and I'm delighted to welcome for the first time tonight IPA Chairman Kevin Barton to the commentary box. Good evening, Kev.
Evening, Simon.
Nice of you to make it.
Yes, few little motorway issues to get here, but finally made it, and just in time for another great matchup.
Yeah, Jimmy Carney has been one of the big successes of the IPA Premier League so far, winning or finishing joint top. He was 2nd on frame difference after phase 1, and he's just been probably, I don't want to say shocked a few people, but he probably has. A few people were looking at the draw beforehand and thinking, you know, maybe surprised a few that he's finished up there, but Jimmy's a fantastic player, and it came as no surprise to me.
Yes, he's probably been the surprise of the tournament to everyone, maybe apart from himself and you know, his closest followers. But it just shows what confidence and some form can do. And you know, he's right at the top of the Premier League, and really important for him to, I think, continue that form that he's shown in the early part of the Premier League, and keep that momentum going, and keep his place in the final 4. Make that as smooth a journey as possible. So big game for Jimmy, I think, but equally a huge game for Gareth Hibbert. He can see that he's you know, he's dropping a few points behind. Obviously, he's not played yet. Those guys who are at in the top places in the table. So yeah, this game is really important to both players for slightly different reasons.
There's a massive break from Gareth, and he has made a ball. Yeah, this is, you just touched on it a second ago, Kev. This is the first game in the 2nd phase for both of these players. They didn't play at all last night, so I don't know whether that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing for them, that they know where they stand. They've got matches in hand. Gareth, as you say, started a little bit. I think he was in 4th or 5th place after phase 1, so he had more work to do than Jimmy, but both players have got plenty of work required if they want to make finals night.
Yeah, and the victories that Mark Boyle has amassed in the last couple of days puts the pressure onto Gareth, and also onto Craig Marsh. You know, he is really vulnerable now. So if Gareth can, you know, get 4 or 5 points tonight from his matches, then you know, that's going to put him in a great position, and make qualification for Craig Marsh, 2017 world champion, in danger.
Yeah, I'm not, haven't sat down and worked out the maths of the table, but I would suspect that Craig is probably already in danger of needing help from other players if he was to make it through. So this finish here at the black and the yellow at the bottom right-hand part of the table look to be the biggest problem. Looks like there might be just enough room to clip that yellow in, but you can only leave yourself very thin on it. Do you think there's any thought to playing yellow off the other yellow? Is it too far away from the pocket for that?
Well, I think the way he's queuing it up, he's going to play position on the yellow near the black, possibly after this next yellow into the centre. I think he is. This is going to be the key shot. He's going to be hampered queuing though, so he may actually be forced to take the one in the top left. Could have maybe tried to do a little bit more with the positional shot.
Yeah, there really isn't
but
much
he's running out of time. He's used his extension.
would have loved another couple of inches on that. It's very, very thin. You do not want to be playing that yellow to try and get onto the black, so forced into playing it now, you feel?
Yeah, absolutely no option here. He's going to be using that red, the top right, as a guide. And what a fantastic positional shot. Doesn't want the white on the cushion.
Yeah, as good a shot as that was, I think he's still got a problem. The natural angle, if the natural angle of this is to go into those reds, he may be forced to leave himself a long, long way away again. No, natural angle is to go into it. Oh, could have been a lot kinder. This is tough.
He was trusting to look a little bit there on the kiss. He could have hit that a little bit slower and left a really thin clip, but he's going for a Mark Boyle-esque clip along the rail and just not quite pulled it off.
Yeah, you could sort of feel that building the whole way through the finish there. That black and yellow were just a real problem that it just wasn't going to be easy to solve, and he was a touch unlucky to finish straight. But when you've got the white travelling on the cushion, sorry, on his penultimate yellow, but when you've got the white travelling that far, those sort of things can happen.
Yeah, the problem stemmed from his third last yellow, and he wanted to take the yellow near the black at that point, but didn't quite get as good position as he needed. It was a bit awkward queuing, so it was forced into a different route. He was under time pressure. It was all going wrong, and eventually it forced the error. But
well, that was a surprising miss from Jimmy. It wasn't a full pocket, but it was plenty for Jimmy, you had to feel. It left Gareth a great opportunity to pot the black via a skill shot, and he's done that very, very well, and he'll be relieved to get over the line in that frame, and Jimmy will be very, very frustrated. And we're just going to go and get a few words with Mark Boyle after his match victory.
Mark, after the first two frames, we saw a bit of everything. A crazy shot in the first frame and a fantastic finish in the second, but settled down to play some pretty good stuff in the end.
Yeah, can't complain. I played really well that match, but I know I had to against a player of Neil's class. But no, just over the moon to get the 3 points and push me up the table again.
Yeah, puts you 1 point behind the leader. So these last couple of matches that you've had last night and tonight, you're really in the mix now.
Yeah, this is when it all matters. Now you've got to get the points on the board, or you're going up the road, basically.
Yeah, it's certainly not going to get easier. Another tough match to come tonight.
Yeah, they're all tough. Trust me, they're all tough. You've got to take your chances. If you don't take your chances, you'll not win any points.
Do you think, have you got a target of what you need to get now to make the top four? Have you got the calculator out?
Anything can happen, I just concentrate on your own games, keep trying to win, or even a win and a draw tonight. My last 2 games should be enough, but even a win, I don't know. There's that many things that can happen. Games can get draws, or guys can go on runs. So it's just a case of just keep focusing on your own game and keep trying to win.
Okay, good luck for the rest of the tournament, Mark.
Cheers, Kev. Thanks.
That's good stuff from Mark there. Very modest with his thoughts. I have to say that the finish he makes in frame 2 is as good as I've seen in the tournament so far this year. Absolutely incredible, and especially after the mistake in frame 1 was absolutely the sort of driving force behind the victory. But yeah, he did play some great pool, and really Neil never really got going in the match at all. And, Kev's running back from the interview area back into the commentary box.
Yeah, it's a bit of a trek, but back in one piece, and you've got Jimmy at the table now, who's looking to make quick amends after his little error in the opening frame. Was in the box seat, but just handed the advantage back to Gareth, who took it with a nice skill shot.
Do you think that the mistake he made in the previous frame, do you see that as more of a careless mistake, that he probably felt it was a big pocket and he didn't give the pot the full attention he needed.
Yeah, he just had to make sure he got the right connection onto the black to make the in off, but he did misjudge it a little bit. So, but that was the last frame. He'll have that firmly in the back of his mind as he looks to just finish off this frame. I think if I'd have been him there, I'd have probably been looking to bring the white further down the table a little bit more. He's just got to be careful judging this. He should be okay. But you see, he's making hard work of it.
Yeah,
if they'd left the white lower down, he would have had a bigger area to put the white ball in to get a good position on this last red. So a bit of pressure on this one.
Yeah, he had a couple of good looks at this red. I thought it might be quite tight just because of the way he was looking at it, but that previous camera angle clearly showed that it does go. No issues with those yellows, so it's just composing himself.
And even though it's only the second frame of the match, this is a critical pot for Jimmy. Where's that white going? Oh, that looks to have stuck to the yellow, and by the reaction on Jimmy, he can't get it.
Yeah, and yeah, you know full well by that reaction that he can't pot this.
And whilst he's a little bit unlucky, it was all brought about by the loose positional shot on that last ball. If it had been a lot straighter, he's got to go for the double. And that's not in, unless it gets a kiss off the white ball.
Yeah, so that's 2 frames and 2, I don't want to say careless, but 2 mistakes that we haven't seen from Jimmy Carney so far in this Premier League. They're sort of both those frames he's been almost relentless in making sure of. So he's good chance to be 2-0 behind, and he knows he probably could be 2-0 in front.
Yeah, this is a big pot now from Gareth. He's got to make this. That black over the pocket. Just creeps in. Has he got position? I think he can just, if he can't see it direct, he can just probably put a little bit of swerve on the white ball.
Yeah, I think he can see the potting angle of this yellow, and once that goes in, he should open up nicely for him.
Yeah, if he can get to the potting angle, then I think this frame's done and dusted. And in these short races, those little errors magnified even more. As we said, it all stemmed from that positional shot onto his last red. And yeah, he was a little unlucky, but if he'd have had better position, he would have been nowhere near the yellow that he was glued against, the white ball was glued against.
It could have gone wrong from Gareth. Wasn't far away from an issue, but it's come out okay. So it's a 2-0 lead for Gareth Hibbert. 2 mistakes from Jimmy Carney that have kind of handed it to him. I say a race to 4, a 6-frame match. 2-0 down when you've had chances. That's it's quite big.
It is, but all is not lost yet. We saw Simon Ward last night come back from 3-0 down against Craig Marsh to steal a point with 3-all. So yep, he's just got to get a frame on the board and see what happens from there.
We look at Gareth Hibbert's run in this event so far. 3 losses on the trot to through 3 losses. Started with a win, then 3 losses on the trot, and at that point it was looking a bit of a struggle for him, but responded with 2 wins and 3 draws, so scraped into phase 2. Maybe looking to really step it up from now if he wants to make finals night.
Yeah, it was a nightmare start for Gareth after a great win against Liam Dunster. 3 consecutive losses really put his place in phase 2 at peril, but managed to turn things around there with some good wins and scrape some draws, and that's why he's here tonight. Another huge break from Gareth Hibbert. Really puts his right leg right into the break.
Yeah, I always look, because Gareth's one of the players that he looks to bring the white straight up the centre of the table. So when you see the white going off to the side like that and then getting pinballed round, you know he hasn't quite caught it as clean as he can. But as you say, he generates so much power that he can actually get away with that a bit more. A bit like Simon Ward last night. He doesn't have to quite catch it as clean to get the power of the split going.
Yeah, Simon's just all muscle. As Gareth, he certainly gets his body right into the break. That's how desperate these guys are to generate the movement from the pack. Get as much in it as they can.
So red and yellow to the top right, or bottom right as we look here. That's his problem. I would think he's looking to break that out now.
Probably come off 2 cushions, gives him more margin for error.
He's played that well, but he's not finished great. He's not ideal on the next ball at all.
He'll be forced to thin clip this into the top left corner. He could get it into the middle. Oh, so needs to avoid that red.
He's just hanging on to a finish here. He really didn't want the flick, but I think the red he's finished next to, I think, still goes to the left centre.
He'd like a little bit of angle, then he could probably screw back with lots of bottom left-hand side to spin that white, screw the white back onto that side rail and spin it round, but just like that. Thought he might have tried to give it a little bit more.
Difficult, isn't it? Because he's quite close to it to really get into it.
Yeah. Just sort of landed a little bit in no man's land. I think he was running out of time again, so didn't really have the time to commit fully to the shot.
Yeah, it's one thing you really notice with the shot clock is that when they're in good control, that the shot clock doesn't seem a problem, but when they're run out of position, you hear the beeps so quickly.
So just forced the error. It was close with that one, but again, he was under time pressure.
Yeah, it was a finish that always felt, even from the first cannon where he tried to break out his ball, just felt it was getting away from him. Oh, big moments in this match for Jimmy Carney. He needs to find a way of getting into this frame. It's a bit of a mess. The yellows are a bit of a mess. He needs to find a way of getting into the frame and getting into this match.
Well, he can either try and play a really delicate safety shot. So these 2 yellows that are together can just hit the bottom one, run the white through an inch or so and try and hide it behind, but he's taking the offensive option. Clip the one into the centre as he made it.
Right across the face of the pocket, but it has not dropped. Sort of sums up Jimmy's match so far.
Yeah, just not quite got into his stride yet, Jimmy. But still early days for him.
That was a really good pot from Gareth. Made that look like it was hanging over the pocket, and it wasn't. Tough positional shot here. It's always hard to control. He needs there isn't much room to get on that black, so he needs a decent position on the final red in the centre of the table to get onto the black with.
Yeah, he'd love to pot this and get the white somewhere near the black spot. Just playing it off the cushion to just widen the angle a little bit. I think he may have to take this into the top corner. I think if he takes it into the middle, if he can pretty much stop the white exactly where it is, he might be okay. But if that white just runs on a little bit, yeah, I think he's going top bag. Beautiful shot. Just stroke that in clean as you like. And that's 3-0 Gareth Hibbert.
Yeah, 3-0 Gareth Hibbert, but Jimmy Carney's had opportunities in all 3 frames, so he's going to be very disappointed to be 3-0 behind, and from Gareth's side of the table, he's very, very happy. And there is Jimmy Carney's results, just the couple of losses to Mark Farnsworth and Simon Ward, but finished the phase 1 very, very strongly with 3 consecutive victories.
I mean, that's an impressive finish at the end there to beat Ronan McCarthy, Mark Boyle and Craig Marsh. 5-3, 5-2, 5-2. I mean, that's you're not going to do that every week. You know, that is 3 of the top players in the world, and he's just dispatched them.
But when the pressure's on as well, you know, before those 3 weeks where he won back to back, he was right in the dogfight for a top 6 finish. He was right in the mix. But with those 3 victories, when the pressure's on, he's pulled away, and instead of thinking about scraping into the top 6, he was thinking about finishing number 1.
Absolutely, and he was very close to doing it. So, can he salvage anything from this match? We'll find out shortly.
It's a great break. Couple of balls down.
Winding up with the break.
Just that messy area around the black. It looked like for a second when all those balls were flying around and he's made a couple, you're thinking, oh, this is going to be a great chance for him. But with the black and reds and yellows there, that's a horrible little cluster to solve.
Yeah, he didn't cue that one well at all. He hit the white far too low.
Yeah, the angle he was going into that little cluster from, the red was the least likely ball to come out, which made it a problem.
Needed a lot more pace on the white ball to go into that cluster. May have another go now. That's a great attempt. That's a fantastic shot there from Jimmy Carney.
Yeah, it's a great shot from Jimmy. Easily his best shot of the night.
Not sure if there was a little bit of frustration in that shot, but got the result he wanted.
Yeah, he still looks very, very focused. Not letting the previous frames, certainly doesn't show on his face or his way he's walking around the table with the previous frames or anything that's happened in this match before.
He was looking to try and move the red that's on the left-hand side after this shot. Doesn't have to. And that was the danger.
Yeah, and you called it. You said that, you know, you don't have to move it. If you don't have to move it, then sometimes, you know, you think, why did I try? If he doesn't move that, you back him to get on it and make it down the rail. And now it's in a horrible position. And he's a little bit short on that one as well. He wanted to be another few inches down the table, I think. Take the red to the corner and go into the red and yellow. That was causing the problems now.
From the overhead, it looks like that red nearest the yellow may go in the corner pocket. But he's got a good angle here now, if it doesn't, to try and disturb it.
Yeah, the problem with doing it this time rather than the previous shot is that this time he has to finish on the red that he's cannoning into. Whereas if he'd managed to get on this position a shot previous, he would still have that one over the pocket that he's just played.
Looking to play the plant.
Very good. Very, very good.
Excellent recovery from Jimmy there, and quick as a flash, he's back in the match.
Yeah, required 3 good cannons in that frame to make the finish. But he said kept his focus, and it really was a very, very good finish there. He's going to need some help from Gareth. Gareth's break looks like it's on tonight, so he's going to need Gareth to... All you can do in this situation is wait and hope that you get a shot.
Yeah, Gareth will be just getting himself ready. He'll want to finish the match off in this next frame. He doesn't want 3-2 and possible 3-all. He wants 4-1, get the 3 points in the bag, and set his Premier League night off in a good fashion.
Yeah, we've already, six. This is the 7th match in phase 2, and we've already seen one match where we've seen a 3-0 scoreline reversed to 3-3. So it's not. I don't think it's a big shock. You know, it was only a 3-frame burst from a player.
5th frame, Gareth Hibbert to break, leading 3 frames to 1. Time running.
So Gareth Hibbert's 3-1 up. But such is the nature of the game. This could potentially be his last shot.
That white looked to be tracking into the corner.
And he's gone dry. He did everything but pot one there.
Including the white.
That white was heading for the corner bag. The yellow got in the way.
You kind of
The
think, how has something not gone in there?
The red tried to help Gareth out there, but nothing. And he's just got to sit and wait and hope he gets a chance.
Oh, yellows look to be fairly obvious, but that top right-hand area of the table is going to take a little bit of working out for Jimmy Carney. Yeah, one of the yellows in the middle goes comfortably, but it's the other 3 that are going to cause him some problems. And that yellow may be a little bit tight now. The one he's just cannoned did go. Not sure if it does now.
Is that a 5-ball plant? 4-ball plant? No, it's 5.
5-ball
yellow
plant.
onto the 2 reds. The red onto the yellow.
I don't think so. I don't think it's on. This dust must have just cut still. Okay, he's not made it, but you know, it's second prize. He's got both corner pockets. He's in the driving seat in this frame.
I don't think Gareth will be too unhappy at this situation. He's back at the table. Even though Jimmy's got the two corner pockets, it's still a bit messy.
Yeah, Gareth was just trying to get his red across to try and block the yellow or the black. Give himself some sort of control in this frame as well, but wasn't to be. But as you say, it's not. Even though Jimmy's in front in this frame, it's plenty of working out required for him to win it yet. I think he might have been playing on the yellow into the left centre. If the white goes an extra couple of inches, then he can pop that into the left centre and stay on the one to the right centre. It was all a bit tight and awkward and tricky angles, but there's half a chance here.
Needs to be precise with his positional play. No, he's not going for the finish.
I think that's probably a wise choice. No need to, he can develop one ball, no need to push the boat out too early. When you look at this table for reds, for Gareth, you look at it and you go, how do you even, it's difficult for him to even attempt to make it messy for Jimmy.
I think he'll just bounce this red off in between the black and yellow. No, I thought he might have just done a little bit more with that one.
He's limiting Jimmy's options, but Jimmy's got a fairly simple safety shot. Just needs to not leave him a shot of the red by the black, and it puts Gareth in a world of trouble.
I think he'll be looking the red and yellow that are close together at the top of the table, nudging the red towards the yellow over the bag, and just try to knock Jimmy's yellow onto the cushion. It's a nice shot.
There's still just about room for Jimmy to get to that yellow that he was attempting to block off, and it's awkward, but just enough room. In this situation, do you feel like Jimmy probably needs to start thinking about going for it?
I think he's probably going to go for it on this visit. So the fact that it's just missed that pot will now give Gareth the opportunity to really tie up one of these two yellows at the top. I suspect he'll probably try and tie the one on the right corner, because the one on the left corner, Jimmy does need really accurate position. So he may play a skill shot. Probably not much value in it.
Gareth deciding to use his extension, just exactly work out what he wants to do.
But yeah, I think he'll just red onto the cushion, just bounce the other red off in front of the yellow, just like that.
And that's probably why Jimmy will be really ruining that missed pot on the previous visit, because he'd have known exactly what Gareth was going to do there as well. And Jimmy may have missed the boat in this frame a little bit.
We'll see a little bit of nip and tuck, a little bit of jostling for position. Jimmy has got to be on the offensive. Gareth is just sort of trying to keep him at bay at the moment.
Well, Jimmy's given some consideration to playing the yellow onto the red at the top right to make his yellow over the pocket. The problem with that shot is what's going to happen to the yellow he plays onto the red. Needs to be very, very careful of the attempts of that shot. I'm a little bit surprised with that choice. Do you think he was trying to avoid the yellow at the top corner? Because it's odd to pot both.
Yeah, he was definitely playing both. I'm not sure it was the right time, because he's still got this problem of the bottom right hand corner as we're looking now. And obviously he needs to play some sort of combination shot. And he's not really got a ball in a great position to do that. And where's that white going? And that's a pretty bad mistake there from Jimmy.
Yeah, all in all, that's a disastrous visit for Jimmy Carney. He walked to the table with okay, he wasn't in a great position to try and win the frame, but he had the control in the frame. Pots the ball over a pocket and then fouls. It's pretty much a disaster, that one. And every chance it's the last shot he'll play in this match.
That was a clever little shot there from Gareth. He used his free visit to pot Jimmy's yellow and develop one of his own that was close to a cushion, judged it well. And now the frame and match is there for the taking for him, and to get a nice early 3 points on the board in this second stage of the Premier League. Close that gap on the leaders, put him right back in the mix.
Yeah, it's early stages in the second phase, but you can't help but feel the top and bottom are sort of squeezing down, and it's going to bunch up very, very tight.
Yeah, and this is bad news for Craig Marsh. Gareth Hibbert will go above him. So he'll take the one into the centre pocket, top centre pocket as we'll look there now. One second red, he'll go for his into the opposite centre. Just finished those last two up. Those last two. He's played that pretty well. He liked another 4 inches. But
You may have to play a little cannon now, or try and avoid the reds at the top. It's a bit too much angle on this for perfect control. Here's the little cannon.
again, judged it well. Just put this one into the corner pocket and bring that white round. Maybe off 2 cushions. And this match is almost over.
And in the black goes, so it is a 4-1 victory for Gareth Hibbert. And as you say, he moves himself up the Premier League table. Probably Jimmy Carney's worst match of the tournament. Really didn't settle, made quite a few mistakes and a few odd shot choices.
Yeah, and just towards the bottom of the stats page there, 4 missed pots and 1 foul, and that's pretty much the story of the match for Jimmy. Just too many mistakes, gave Gareth the chances, and he gladly took them.
And we will see Jimmy Carney and Gareth Hibbert again later on tonight. In fact, Gareth Hibbert versus Neil Raybone is our next match, and we will see that after the break. Welcome back to the Free Sports Premier League of Pool. We have seen a 4-1 victory for Mark Boyle over Neil Raybone and a 4-1 victory for Gareth Hibbert over Jimmy Carney to start our night. Next up we have Gareth Hibbert versus Neil Raybone. An important match for both players, as every single point is vital. This is an all English battle with Gareth there on the left and Neil on the right. Gareth will be looking to continue the way he went in the previous match, and Neil will be looking to get something going. He didn't really get much opportunity in his first match where he lost to Mark Boyle.
Gareth Hibbert and Neil Raybone.
It's an interesting format, the way it plays out. That players need to play, a few times a night. So, they have to respond to a poor performance. Sometimes you need to reset. It can be just as hard sometimes to go from a victory and reset to 0-0 and start again. Sometimes you've had a bad loss like Neil has, and you need to forget about it and remember you're starting a fresh match. And it's not always that easy. Both these players are very used to tournament play, where they win a match, they move on, they lose a match, they go home. In this situation, it's sometimes you can lose a match and you've got to carry on. I have to say, both players look very relaxed. Gareth had more to do in this phase, maybe more pressure on him before this section of matches started, having finished lower down the table than Neil. But both players are going to need a couple of wins to give themselves any chance of qualifying for the final four.
First frame, Neil Raybone to break. Time running.
So it is Neil that won the lag, and Neil will break first. And I think the way the first match went, he will really want to make a good break here and get going. Where's that white going? Oh, he's had a little touch there. That white was going very, very close to the corner pocket. Yeah, I thought that white was in for a second, but it wasn't, and he's made a ball.
Yeah, big break there from Neil. Looked like he was going to be the dreaded dry break, but managed to make a yellow.
Can't help but feel even though this is 0-0 in this match, but with it being such short races, the way Neil went in his first match, I feel like this is a huge visit to the table here.
Yeah, this is a big matchup. Big matchup. If Gareth Hibbert can win this match, that will be a huge step forward to securing a top four space. If Neil Raybone can win it, likewise, it'll be a huge step forward for him to secure a top four space. So, as we've said before, every match, every point that they can scrape together is just so critical.
That's a good pot from Neil, nice confidence boosting pot. He's going to need another one. He'll be playing on the yellow down the rail. He could play for it as a double, but he'll probably just play on it down the rail.
Yeah, nothing too extravagant, just get good position.
He'll be slightly annoyed that he's not got another inch or two of angle on this yellow, so that he can get the white out into a bit more into open play. You see a little grimace on his face there, and that's probably what he's thinking about. It's not the pot. The pot was always going to be tough. It's the position he's going to leave himself on his last yellow, should he make it.
Yeah, and the clock's ticking.
Really good cueing from Neil. He's going to need another good positional shot, another good pot and positional shot here.
He could have been tempted to run the white through there and just leave himself a natural pot of the yellow into this corner bag, because the white was always going to be near the cushion. So if it had been a little bit to the right of where it is, he could have played it plain ball, and the white would naturally come back maybe another 2 feet from where it is now, and you would add the black into the bottom right corner. So yeah, whilst it was a good pot, he maybe could have played it slightly differently.
Yeah, and the poor shot was the shot that left him dead straight on the one on the rail, really. I know what you're saying, if he leaves a better angle on that yellow, but it was a tough enough pot anyway. But you couldn't help, you just felt through the whole visit that that was building to that miss.
And that miss puts Gareth completely in the box seat in this frame.
Not entirely sure he was intending to pop that red. I think he was just playing the knock the red over the corner and get the snooker, but potting him when you don't want to. Shows you the form he's in.
I can guarantee he won't be potting this next one. He'll be just dropping this over the bag.
Timeouts. Live ball, time running.
He was just checking whether to see whether that red's touching the cushion or not. If it's frozen to the cushion, just affects whether he has to hit another cushion. If that was frozen to the cushion, then that would be a foul shot, because the white didn't hit the cushion and the red didn't hit the cushion, so it obviously wasn't frozen to the rail.
Yeah, Gareth will just be hoping he can extract a foul from Neil, and then just routinely take these 6 reds out. So even if Neil hits it, he's still a huge second favourite for this frame, but you never know. He's only got a small window to get through. Looks a good attempt.
Oh, he's unlucky there. Wow, that's very unlucky. Just caught the jaw. You watch this when it catches the gets to the corner pocket. It just catches the jaw, and then it stops it from catching the yellow. It looks for all money all the way up. It's going to be a great shot, and unfortunately not. And that will probably be frame over.
Great camera shot there to show the impact of the knuckles. Just taking the opportunity there to move that red off the cushion. He could have stunned him behind it, but it was easy enough to run through, just to give it a little nudge off the cushion, just to make his work even easier.
Yeah, I think he wanted to be straight on this next shot to be able to get down to the bottom end of the table, but no real problems. It can never be easy enough.
Just pot this one half ball. Yeah, a touch thinner than he would ideally liked, but pretty straightforward. Just run that white on a little bit extra, but shouldn't be any problem.
So it's Gareth Hibbert that moves 1-0 up, and he continues the form he showed in his first match of the night. A very, very smooth progress. And Gareth will be very happy with his night's work so far. It's all going quite nicely for him. He's getting opportunities and he's making the most of them. And I think we're going to go and get a few words with Jimmy Carney, see how his thoughts on his previous match.
Jimmy, thanks for joining us down in the interview area. Not the best start for you tonight.
No, I didn't settle at all there. Played awful, really. You can't play 14 matches in this league and not have a bad performance. So let's just hope that's it now.
Yeah, another huge match coming up against Mark Boyle later on tonight.
Yeah, they're all huge, so it's just another match for me. I've just got to get in the zone and play just a little bit better than I played there.
Still in a good position in the Premier League, up near the top. Have you got your sights set on a points target to secure a place in the top 4?
I believe 22 will put me safe, or anybody safe. But all depends on other results. I know I've just got to get in the zone, and I've learned a lot from that match, and I've just got to worry about doing the business and going out there and winning.
And Mark's seems to have come into form in this Premier League last night and tonight. You're going to be in for a big match tonight.
Always. We played at the tour at the weekend. Cracking game. He beat me 8-7 in the World Series, and I'm expecting pretty much the same standard tonight from Mark.
Okay, well, good luck, Jimmy.
Thank you very much. Cheers, Kev.
Oh, I like that from Jimmy. He called it. He's just got to play again, but he's just got to play a bit better. And, definitely, from the matches I've seen, it's his poorest match of the tournament, but as you say, it's a lot of matches, and you know every now and then you're gonna have one like that. You've got to be able to deal with it.
Yeah, it's how he responds. That's the important thing now. You know, he needs to get that performance out of his mind and just focus on his next match against Mark Boyle, which is a huge match in the context of the Premier League.
I have a feeling we're going to say that quite a few times over the next, 6 or 7 matches. Of course, we've got this one and 2 more tonight.
Yeah, we've got tonight and then next Tuesday, live 7 o'clock, Free Sports, where we see the conclusion of the qualification stage of the Premier League. And to find out our 4 semi-finalists, one of which will take home the title.
Slightly awkward here for Gareth. He takes the yellow to the centre pocket, then he's going to have too much angle on the yellow to the corner. And if he takes one to the corner, he needs to get a good angle on the yellow into the centre to get back to the black. So a slightly tricky little, he'd be frustrated to leave himself on the cushion.
Yeah, I think he's got to take the one into the right centre first, try and screw back. 6 inch. Didn't quite have a great angle there. So he's not going to leave himself anything easy. Just let the positional side get away from him a little bit at the end of this clearance. How slowly can he delicately drop this in? He's tried to pinch a bit and miss the potter as a result.
Yeah, that miss was all about the positional problems. He makes that, if he has to make that pot, he makes it, but he had to make it absolutely dead weight off the near jaw, and unfortunately tried to pinch too much. And it's a tough first pot for Neil, but once he makes that first pot, the reds are fairly simple. Problem he'll have, the black.
Yeah, this is a tough pot, a lot of pressure on it. He knows if he misses this pot, he's going 2-0 down. It's not easy with that white stuck to the cushion.
In a strange way as well, when your opponent's made a mistake, it puts more pressure on your next pot because you really want to punish that mistake. It's a great pot.
That is a superb pot. That is such a difficult shot, and he's just stroked it in as cool as you like.
Yeah, no, that's really is a top shot from Neil. But now he's made it, his mind will move on to the big problem of this finish, and that is the black. He doesn't have too many options for the black either. He may be forced into just trying to get onto that. Not look to move the black. Just get onto the black into the corner pocket.
Yeah, he could potentially leave the red that's at the bottom end of the table as his last ball, and then try and screw across and aim the white for the yellow. Doesn't matter if he pots it, of course, and then leave the black into the opposite corner. I think he'll trust his positional skills.
So he's going to be looking to get the white somewhere closer to the side rail, maybe screw back. He's fairly straight on this red, maybe come back a foot or so from where he is now, maybe a little bit more. Give himself some control for that shot.
Yeah, so he's going to use that yellow as a guide. So he's going to be aiming the white for. This is going to take more precision. The pot's easy, but he's only got a small window to get that white in. This looks pretty good.
He'll be thrilled with that. That's as good as he could hope to be on this black, but it is still a tough black.
This is incredibly tough. With the pressure, that clock's going to be ticking down. Oh, superb shot.
Yeah, it's a great pot and a great finish. Gets himself into this match and ties the scores up at 1-1.
That was a classy finish there from Neil. He had a difficult first pot, difficult positional shot on the black, and a tough black as well. So 3 of his 7 shots were really tough shots. So great clearance.
It really was. And we'll look at Neil's form throughout this event, and you can see he'll be frustrated to finish with 2 draws and start the second phase with a draw. You feel like he was in a position he really could have pushed himself right to the top and almost be out of sight by now. But the draws have just held him back.
Yeah, secured 4 points last night, which I'm sure he will have been pleased with. But losing his first match, it puts the pressure right back again to get a result in his second match.
Yeah, those draws are strange. You get a draw and you think, okay, you know, if you win the next match, you think 4 points out of 6, that's good. But you lose the next match, you're thinking, I've only had 1 point out of 6. It's amazing. You know, the draws are good, but those wins are so valuable.
That's a nice break.
Little congested area around the black. That's going to be his biggest problem. Those yellows don't look too bad. It depends on the little cluster, what he can do with the yellows in there. In fact, the yellow that's still in the triangle area, that doesn't go anywhere either. So actually, this is both colour sets. This is really messy.
He may take that first, that yellow, if he can get to it, into the centre. No, he's taking them into the corner, try and disturb these 2. He's not got a great angle, but it's worked out okay. Still got the black that's still tied up.
Yeah, developed 2 yellows, and he's got a chance to get the black out off one of them. So, you know, you could see the finish from here. It's not come out amazing.
If he can run the white through onto the red, which he can, so he can take this yellow into the centre or even the corner now, and then he'll leave himself an angle on this yellow that's near the right corner pocket to pop that and then screw the white ball into the red and yellow and free the black and hopefully leave himself on one of his remaining 2 yellows.
Yeah, I'd be slightly annoyed with that last shot. He's would love to have cannoned that red full ball to kill the white, so he could just drop the yellow in the centre and get onto that yellow that you were talking about by the black. Had to use the side rail to do it because of the extra angle, but he has played that shot very, very well, and now does have a good angle to get into that red and black.
Yeah, so almost wants to come behind that red and black, just to glance the red, and so the white will carry on up the table. Doesn't want to hit that red full in the face. Where's the white? I think he's okay.
I'm not sure if the black's opened up enough to go. Oh, it has. Yeah, no, the black does go. If he can't see the yellow to the top right, then he's got a thin cut to the top left and needs to probably... Be interesting to see if he can hold it or whether he has to come all the way down the bottom end of the table and then back up.
I think he'll just try a little swerve if he can't quite see the potting angle. It's worth the swerve.
Controlled very, very well.
Don't think Neil had enough time on his last visit to check if the black went, but he's just checked now, and I think it must do. What's another 6 inches on that one? Another tricky black. A very tricky black. Looks good.
It's a great shot and a great finish from Neil Raybone to move himself 2-1 ahead. First break and dish in this match.
Yeah, Neil displaying some Some great qualities tonight. Probably didn't quite get going in his first match, but certainly back to normal in his second match.
Have a look at the stats in this match so far. As I just said, it's the first break and dish in this match, and that one missed pot from Gareth, he was barring that missed pot, he was looking like going 2-0 ahead. We'll see if he can come back after the break. Welcome back to the IPA Premier League of Poole. We're on match 3 of the night, and it's Neil Raybone 2-1 ahead of Gareth Hibbert. It's a 6-frame match, so a race to 4. 3-3 ties are available, and all 3 are an option right now. Is Gareth to break, see if he can respond to the break and dish from Neil in the previous frame.
He's got away with that one a little bit. They've come out absolutely sweet, but not one of his best breaks. Watch this white ball head towards the centre pocket.
And that's very, very rare for Gareth Hibbert. You do not see the white going that close to centre pockets. He's normally, you know, if he's going to break badly, sometimes he might get the white going close to the corner. So for him to hit the middle pocket, he's really mishit the break.
But, they've come out pretty well, and he's got a great look at these yellows. The black, he'll have to decide whether he wants to try and develop it or just leave it where it is and play it down the rail.
What would be your preference then, Kev? Are you one of the players, would you like to kick it out, or do you just back yourself to get on it?
Well, I think these top players would prefer not to be moving anything that they don't need to, and if he gets the opportunity where it gives him minimal risk of not having position, on his next yellow, then you would probably take that opportunity. But I don't think the way the balls are set, he can pot a yellow, develop it, and guarantee himself position. So I think he'll probably just play position on it.
He doesn't have a great ball to get on the black. He has, the balls. He has enough space to get on the black. He just doesn't have a, sometimes you have a ball in the right area of the table just to be able to drop on it. He doesn't have that option.
He needs that white to travel. That's a little bit shorter pace. I think he can still take this one down the rail, but it's become a really tricky shot now. And he needs to get that white in a position where he can pot his last yellow and get onto the black. So he's got a few things to think about on this shot. He's used his extension, time's running. He's missed the pot as a result.
Yeah, overcut the pot.
It's early days, but pretty much chalk and cheese performances really from Gareth tonight. First match looked sharp, pretty good. Didn't miss much, and just looked a little bit untidy by his own high standards in this match.
Yeah, that was definitely a finish that you expect Gareth Hibbert to take out. When you see the way the balls are lying after the break, you kind of think, yeah, he should get these. They weren't easy. He had to play a couple of good positional shots to get on that black, and surprised the way it ran out of position for him. But yeah, I think that's probably a fair assessment. Those two reds on the left-hand side cushion, they're the biggest problem for Neil. Obviously got the one on the top rail as well. It's probably the order he takes these balls in a key. And he'll be disappointed with that shot. He was trying to cannon one of the reds on the side rail out to stay on the other one. Having missed that, he's got a bit of a problem.
Yes, I thought he'd probably play to leave the plant. He could have got good position right behind those two reds. I thought instead of trying to risk moving and risk no position afterwards, or poor position afterwards, but he could have left the plant. So now he's got a clip up the rail, which again is a tricky shot.
Played very, very well. So you can drop this one along the top rail, and you can get himself onto the one over the right centre. He'll need an angle to get himself back across the table to get onto the red on the left-hand side, which is tricky.
Yeah, just a little soft screw shot.
He played that well.
Put this into the centre and just screw the white across the table. Hopefully just a couple of inches above the centre bag.
Well, that's played to perfection. Oh, as we come to this angle, it's probably got an inch more angle than he wanted, but he can play this slowly enough to just control the white, stay on the black.
He's going to try and drop this in. He can play it two ways, go twice across, and just try and kill the pace. He had the right angle to kill the pace, and he's going to fancy this black to at least secure himself a point in this match. It's not easy. No gimmies these. Clock's ticking, but that looks pretty good. And that's three great blacks that Neil's had to pot in this match.
Yeah, that was exceptional, that clearance as well. Very similar to a previous one. Problems in a couple of areas that they're there, but they're messy. And yeah, very, very well played. And really putting the pressure onto Gareth.
You can see Gareth's Premier League form to date. After a pretty poor start by his standards. He's managed to turn it around from matches 5 onwards, and he's unbeaten on his last 6 matches. So if he loses this, that would stop his unbeaten run.
Yeah, starting to find some form in the league at the right time, but up against it in this match.
3 wins and 3 draws in his last 6 matches. Pretty pleased with that, but
Fifth frame, Neil
a
Ray
defeat
Rose,
against
Braitley,
Neil
3
now,
frames to
and
1. Time running.
just setting back a little bit. All we can do is just sit and watch and hope that he gets another chance in this match. That's a good break from Neil.
It's a massive break from Neil. Really caught them well. Probably a touch unfortunate with the way the table's been left.
Yeah, crazy break, great break, but lots of balls against the cushion. A few little clusters. So he's, if he wants to win in this match and frame a match in this one visit, he's got to do a little bit of working out.
Yeah, this might be one of those situations where you want to get yourself yellows and start to work from there.
I think if the yellow nearest the red, near the centre bag, if he can double that, I think he's going to play that next shot. That looks a pretty good angle.
It looks quite tight.
It is tight, yeah.
I think the fact he's not playing it's probably suggested that it doesn't, and maybe just looking to take the pocket. So Neil has got his colour set and will get to work from there. He is yellows are ahead in this frame, but we've seen in the tactical frames we've had so far tonight that can turn around quite quickly.
I think he did play to pot that. I don't think there was any value in the safety shot that he played. I think he was playing to pot that and maybe play a little safety shot at this bottom end of the table.
I don't know, maybe he was just trying to get right behind the red that he's behind now. I don't know, it's might have been.
But there was no value in it because Neil could just get the yellow out. He could have really thrown the gauntlet out to Neil and moved his red that was near the yellow. Then in theory none of his reds were too tied up that they couldn't be potted. But,
so Neil just took the opportunity to kick one of his bad balls out, knowing he's got the top end of the table sewn up. Not sure if Gareth can get one of his reds in behind the yellow on the top left-hand pocket. Can't on the top right. He may be able to do that, but not from here.
he was asking a lot there, and I think Neil's just going to try and develop. I think he's got to be careful of Neil. He can't just develop his yellow that's near the left cushion, the middle of those 3 on the left-hand side. So even though he's in control of this right corner, a skill shot can soon put paid to that. So he's still got to be on his guard. He's in control, but we've seen all this year on Free Sports in the pool that we've brought you that these top players can pull out great shots and turn things around pretty instantly.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where you're thinking about the opponent you're playing sometimes, where if you're playing a lesser player you might think I'm just going to open up my side of the table, but you've got to be wary with these top guys that they can pull out a finish from nowhere on you, and you have to guard against it.
So that's the shot that Neil's after. So now, next visit, he'll be looking to go for the frame and match. And I think that's with some of the safety shots that Gareth's played. They've not really done anything, and he's just kept handing the initiative back to Neil. So he really needs to pull out a good safety now, or a skill shot of some sort to stop Neil going for the finish next visit, because that's exactly what he'll be doing.
Yeah, he may feel forced to be, or backed into a corner to do something quite aggressive here. I think he wanted that white to run another inch or two so he could pop the red to the bottom right and screw up into the top part of the table and open up 2 more of his balls. He's unhit it.
I think he's only got one option here, and that's this red. He's got to try and get it in front of that yellow.
I'm not sure he's quite covered the pocket for that yellow, but he hasn't left Neil a great yellow to go at.
I think he's bought himself another shot. Don't think Neil can go for the finish this visit. Just can't quite tell.
He might be played this in the cushion off the red onto the yellow. Exactly what he's done.
Shot. Couldn't quite see what he had on there.
And now you can see that the red didn't block the yellow, and he can now pot that, and the other corner's opened up, and this is as good a chance as you could want to win a match. Black doesn't go to the top 2 pockets on the table, so he just needs to be careful to leave a good angle on the last yellow to get back up for the black.
Yeah, I'll probably just try and leave it straight so he can just screw the white back, so he can take the black into the right centre. And barring a miscue, I think this match is done and dusted. In a few seconds it will be.
And it is a 4-1 victory for Neil Raybone. He played very, very well in that match. Gareth not quite as on form as he was in his first match, but we will see him again tonight.
Yeah, that was a really good performance from Neil, I thought. After a sort of pretty average first match against Mark Boyle by his standards, that was business as usual. Some great finishes and some great blacks, and a fully deserved 4-1 victory.
And next up for us, we've got Jimmy Carney versus Mark Boyle, and that will be after the break. Welcome back to the Free Sports Premier League of Pool. Neil Raybone has just completed a 4-1 victory over Gareth Hibbert to move himself to 22 points and top of the table. Gareth himself winning the previous match and still sits outside of the top 4 on 15 points. Next up for us, we've got Jimmy Carney versus Mark Boyle. It's amazing when you look at the table there. Jimmy Carney started this phase 2 joint top on points, and he's now 4th and right in the fight for finishing into the top 4 is where you need to be to make finals night, and he's sort of been dragged into the dogfight.
Yeah, that was a big win for Neil, and that I think all but secures his place in the top 4.
Well,
it's
Jimmy
not
Carney,
guaranteed, but
yeah.
I think he's pretty close to being there.
Yeah, well, Jimmy Carney said it on his interview earlier on today. He'd analysed the table and he felt that 22 points was going to guarantee a player making it through. And that is where Neil's at. So it's looking pretty good for Neil.
So next matchup, Jimmy Carney, Mark Boyle. Again, another huge match in the Premier League, and we can see their recent head-to-heads this year. It's 2-1 to Jimmy, and so Jimmy beat Mark in the Premier League, 5-2 in the early stages, and then they've had a win apiece on the IPA circuit. So not much between them, but from what we've seen so far tonight, Mark Boyle, I think, goes into this match as favourite, and you know, Jimmy's got to certainly up his game from his first performance tonight if he's going to get anything out of this match.
Yeah, I completely agree. Jimmy just needs to forget the performance he put on in his first match tonight and remember all those great performances that took him to the top of the table at the end of phase 1. And if he manages to do that, then he'll put on he'll be a handful for Mark in this match.
Looks like a dry break there from Mark. Yeah, I think this is, in the context of the Premier League, I think this is an absolutely pivotal match for Jimmy. He doesn't want to undo the great work that he did in the first phase of the Premier League by, you know, not delivering in this second phase. You know, he played really well in that first section, and I think he needs to get something out of this match for me. He doesn't want to see all his good work undone.
When he gets first opportunity at the table, and if he does need oh, this is not a great first shot. Just held my breath there because I thought he'd potted the white off the black there. He's just about okay. Not a great next shot though.
Yeah, that was a little careless. He was aiming for the yellow nearest the centre bag to stop the white ball going down there. Completely misjudged it, and now he's going to have to pull out a big shot to keep this break going. Wow.
Needs the yellow to stop moving. It's a great shot. But I'm not sure if he's come back far enough to be on the next ball.
Yeah, I think you can see this bottom red. He's still got some work to do now because there's a yellow. Does that red go past the yellow into the corner pocket? Into this bottom left corner pocket? I think that's going to be the key to this this clearance. Does that red go past the yellow into this bottom left corner? If it does, he should be home and hosed. But that looks very tight to me.
He has room to play on it to the centre pocket if he needs to, but not much room. Doesn't go into that corner.
Does it go into the other corner? He's not got a great. He'd like that white to bounce off the cushion. See, I think he would have preferred to take the one into the middle. He's got two really delicate shots coming up now.
Just think the way he lined up the cue there. I don't think that does go to the corner. I think he might be thinking about. Is he thinking about canning into it, or is he going to come twice
behind
across?
it. Come behind it.
Oh, great shot. But it's not a good angle to get onto the black.
He's going to leave one of those little thin blacks into the right corner. He's just got to drop this in dead weight. Played it well.
No, he really did. He managed to kill the white as well. I thought the white was going to have to move a few more inches up the table. It was a great shot.
Frame.
Fantastic visit from Jimmy Carney. A loose first shot, and you thought, here we go. Is he going to continue with the way he played in his first match? But held himself together with a couple of great shots there to complete the reverse dish. And he does move 1-0 in front in this match, and that should settle him down. Definitely, look how focused he looks. He's just staring at the table, keeping himself in the zone. And we're going to go and get a few words with Neil Raybone.
Neil, top of the Premier League with not many matches to go. You must be feeling confident about making finals night.
Yeah, I'm happy to win that match. Just obviously I didn't get off to the best start tonight, but I didn't do a lot wrong, to be honest, against Mark Boyle, and yeah, happy to get the win. Just
Yeah, the first match you didn't quite get into your stride, but certainly it was business as usual in that second match. Some great blacks in particular.
yeah, obviously I missed my last ball first frame to go 1-0 down. I should have probably been 2-0 down, and I've knocked a good black in to make it 1 each. So yeah, I was happy really. Yeah.
So do you think you've got enough points now to get through to finals night, or do you think you need just a few more?
No, I think I'm okay. I think I'm on 22 points now, and I was thinking around 20, 22 should get me next top 4. So yeah, hopefully it should be enough.
And it's really tight behind you with the chasing pack.
Yeah, I was just saying there really no one's really safe really. Obviously the wins are really big, 3 points on the board, so no one's really safe. Everyone's all to play for really.
So in terms of the 30-second shot clock, you know, we've been doing it now for 10, 11 weeks. Are you getting used to it at all?
I like it, to be honest. People would probably be surprised I do like it because, you know, obviously I'm not the fastest player in the world, but it kind of helps me because it helps me make my mind up for me, and I think obviously, you know, it's fast and furious and it's good for TV.
Thanks for your time, Neil.
Thanks, Kev. Thanks.
A very relaxed Neil Raybone. I think he thinks he's done enough, and I think he probably has. I don't think he can be caught by enough people to keep him out of finals night. He'll obviously want to keep the form going into finals night, but a great night's work for him. We see Jimmy Carney after that reverse dish. His break, he had a bit of a disaster. The white flew in, and it gives Mark Boyle an opportunity to make a reverse dish of his own. And Kevin Barton is run back from the interview area again. He is putting some mileage in tonight.
Tell you what, I've almost done a marathon tonight.
It was good to get Neil's thoughts there. He sounds very relaxed and very confident going into the next round of games next week.
Yeah, I think he's pretty certain he's got enough points now to guarantee a place in the finals night. So yeah, he was all smiles, and rightly so. That was a great performance against Gareth Hibbett in that last match. And yes, he's probably, I don't think he's 100% guaranteed, but barring some sort of pretty freakish results, I think he's virtually there.
Yeah, and if he does need any more, he does have one more match left before we get to finals night. He will play next Tuesday night to complete his phase 2 section.
So it looks like business as usual for Mark Boyle. And just this pretty routine black to tie things up at 1-all. No mistake.
Absolutely, reverse dish apiece, and we are at 1-1. Looks very, very relaxed and confident. He's having a very, very good phase 2 of this competition.
Yeah, it was a little bit slow out of the traps in the Premier League by his own high standards, but certainly last night and tonight we've seen the real Mark Boyle now, and we can see his recent IPA performances and lots of finals, semi-finals, victories. Certainly a welcome addition to the professional ranks this year.
Yeah, there's a startling number of finals there for a guy that's only been on the tour for 2 years. That's quite incredible. Spent 1 year as an amateur. Absolutely was dominant as an amateur, and turned professional this year, and has won. What's he won now? 3 opens and a professional event, something along those lines. Five of the big ones, plus some amateur events. Absolutely fantastic from Mark Boyle.
Yeah, I'm losing count. I think he'll need a new trophy cabinet at home. If he has a few more years like this year, he'll need a new home to put the trophy cabinets in.
Well, didn't seem to be the cleanest break from Mark. He didn't seem to quite get as much power going through the pack. It looked a bit odd, but
Yeah, well, it was spinning around there. You can see he just didn't quite hit the white in the middle.
But he's importantly made a ball, and he's been rewarded with a very good split.
Absolutely, he can take either here, to be honest. He could be tempted to take yellows, take this one into the centre pocket, run the white through, but choosing reds. But, I thought yellows may have been a slightly better ball there, but
I guess the argument for reds would be that you have to be quite precise with your positional shot. When you clear the 4 at the top, then you come down the table for the 2 at the bottom. That shot you'd have to be quite precise, whereas with the way he's going here, assuming he was going to play on the one down the rail next, from there, you know, there's a bit more room to work. Okay, so he's played on the one down the left rail. I thought he would want to get on the one down the right. That may have been his original plan, but didn't have a good angle for that. One thing's for certain, Mark's not going to want to leave the one on the right-hand side rail as his last ball. He could do, but he wouldn't want to be playing it down the rail, possibly as a double. But he'd prefer to be able to play on it in a shot or two's time. In fact, he'll definitely be looking to get on it after his next shot and leave the one over the left centre for his last ball to be able to drop onto the black. Oh, he's potted the white. It's a disaster. Quite an incredible shot from Mark Boyle. That's not a mistake you really associate with him. He's got. I was actually having a good chat with him earlier about it. He's got. He's normally so precise at shots like that. Normally has such control over his white. So that's a really surprising mistake. I think Mark's going to be sat in his chair in a little bit of shock. Not a mistake he'd normally make. And Jimmy will probably be a little bit surprised himself, but he's going to stay in his focused rhythm. Looks fairly natural for Jimmy just to work his way down the table. just finished slightly awkward. I was just thinking he'd underhit the previous shot, and he wanted to be able to just drop it in and play on the one in the centre, but had to move the white further than ideal. So now he needs a good recovery shot. Okay, he's still working. He's still not in perfect position. He's probably going to have to screw on and off the side cushion. He's going to have to really get into this well. His other option is to try and cannon into the yellow, but you know it's dangerous. You could catch it full and not be on that yellow. So he wants to screw across the face of it. Played very, very well. Still got more angle than he would really want. I think he's okay just to drop this in, but we'll be playing it quite slowly. In fact, he had too much angle and had to play it all the way up and down, and that's a fantastic shot from Jimmy Carney. And it is Jimmy Carney that takes a 2-1 lead, but more importantly than that, he's taken a 2-1 lead after a mistake from Mark Boyle. And in these short races, it's the mistakes that can really hurt. And I think we're going to go and get a few words with Gareth Hibbert now.
Down in the interview area with Gareth Hibbert. Gareth, mixed bag to start with, a 4-1 victory followed by a 4-1 loss.
Yeah, that's true, Kev. Yeah, I played all right in the first game, wasn't brilliant. Jimmy let me off a couple, and then I went 1-0 up and should have gone 2-0 up in that against Neil their second game, and that little mistake I made in the second frame was a turning point, I think. It's 2-0's a nice lead in these short matches.
And a big match coming up against Mark Boyle after this match.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this one finishes and then have a little look at the league table, and it will be a biggie. I think we were two of the bottom three going into it, so we both need the points.
Yeah, it's almost a 6-pointer in footballing terms.
Yeah, it is really, yeah. We'll probably end up a draw with that.
So Neil Rayburn looks like he's probably all but there in the final. What do you think the points total is that you're going to have to get to get a place in that top four?
It depends really. It's probably looking at maybe 21, something like that, but it just depends if other people have a bad time or someone flies ahead and gets up to near 30 and keeps winning everything. So obviously there's not that many games left. We're sort of halfway through this second stage already, so I'd say maybe 20, 21 should get you there.
And in terms of the shot clock, the 30 seconds, obviously it's new to the Premier League this year and to IPA events. How are you getting used to it at all?
You do sort of get used to it, but there's just certain shots that catch you out when you're thinking, I need a bit more time on this one, and you hear it counting down and you just sort of rush it a little bit at the end, and it might just take your mind off the job a little bit hearing those beeps.
Well, good luck in your last match tonight, Gareth.
Cheers, thanks, Kev.
And here is the league table, so we can really see what Gareth's talking about. He's still on the outside looking in. He's still in 5th place, needs to move himself up to the top 4. Jimmy Carney's currently in progress and 2-1 ahead of Mark Boyle, so it really is congested for that top 4 spot. Neil does look safe at the top on 22.
Yeah, it's a big. There's just a little bit of daylight developing. You've got Boyle in 3rd place on 19 points. Hibbert on 15, Marsh on 14. There's a little bit of a gap there, but you know it can soon turn round.
Yeah, just saying that. Marsh on 14. He looks to be in a bit of trouble. He's got 2 matches left, so maximum he can get to is 20. That probably won't be enough looking at that table, but it's going to be very, very interesting to find out next Tuesday night, 7:30, live on Free Sports.
Good break from Jimmy, but I don't think he's got anything easy. Really winds up his cue before he launches into the break.
Yeah, he's one of the few players, he completely changes his stance for the break. He goes into more of a athletic pose, if you like. He completely changes it. Most players will just stick with their normal stance and just power through it, but Jimmy completely changes it. And, something that works for him and something I'm sure he's worked hard on.
Yeah, so could go for the difficult yellow down the rail, but likes the look of reds.
It's a decent first shot. He'd love to be on the top of those two reds that are together on the, well, it's the side rail, but the top rail as we look. I'm not sure if he is.
Well, he could, if he's got the angle, he could just drop this one into the corner. The right hand of those two.
Yeah, he is on it, which is good. That was the key to the frame. If he wasn't on that, then he would have had to work quite hard to work out those two. But landing on that was absolutely perfect.
Just got to be careful with his patterns here. Make sure he leaves himself the right ball at the top end of the table to get onto this one at the bottom end of the table.
It's well controlled, just brush past it, and it's okay now. It's not this next positional shot, it's going to be the one after. Threading the needle through the yellows to get onto the red at the bottom of the table. That black needs to be got on nicely. You don't have a huge, you have to be pretty good on that black. It's not a massive area to land into. Although it looks wide open on the table, but you don't want to be potting that from an acute angle.
Yeah, he's got to thread this one through. I presume he's going to come off the top cushion and just bring the white between the two yellows. And he's just put a little bit of left-hand side on, created a little bit of angle, and yeah, he's played that pretty well. To glide this white across. Oh, he's had a bit of a jab at that one.
And he's fouled.
And he's lost the white ball. Wow, what a careless mistake that was. That was just pressure. He's completely not cued this at all. He's had a right jab. Look at the cue lift up off his hand.
Yeah, that's as bad as I've ever seen Jimmy Carney cue a ball.
That is just pure pressure. He knew that if he potted that and got on the black, potted the black, he's guaranteed a point. He can relax and look for the 3 points, but all of a sudden, it's probably going to be 2-all in a minute.
Do you think that's one he was caught a little bit in two minds between maybe just dropping it in, maybe playing a bit of a drag shot, or trying to really screw into it and come on and off the side cushion?
Yeah, no, there's only one way to play that shot, and that was to screw onto the side cushion, but it wasn't a deep screw, it was like call it a floating shot, just floating the white ball onto the side rail. And he's just, well, we saw there, he's just completely come up off the shot and not committed to the shot and lost the white ball, and should have been nowhere near that centre corner pocket.
In a strange way, it was very, very similar to the mistake that Mark Boyle made in the previous frame that Jimmy Carney was able to punish. It looked all but certain that Mark was going to go 2-1 ahead, and he stunned the white straight into the centre pocket. So some pressure out there. Both players making some strange errors.
Yep, and no doubt we'll see a lot more pressure come into play as we get to the final stages now of the Premier League. Next Tuesday, Judgment Night 2. It's going to be all about who can handle the pressure the best and secure those spots in finals night. It'll be great entertainment. And that's another strange one there from Mark.
Yeah, he wasn't perfect on that previous ball. He wants to clear the two at the top of the table first. And just underhit that shot. I think he's trying to leave the yellow to the top right and underhit it by quite a distance.
This shows these guys are human. Good recovery.
Yeah, he's still not perfect though. Natural angle for this yellow doesn't leave a good natural angle on the last yellow, so going to be moving the white a bit for these last three shots.
I think he's okay. I think he can screw onto the side cushion, just like what Jimmy tried to do a few shots ago. No, it was a little bit too thin for that, so had to leave the thin cut. I'll tell you what, with the pressure these guys are feeling, I don't think we can give them anything at this stage.
Right in the heart of the pocket. And it is 2-2, and it is big mistake from both players, punished by their opponents. And Mark will be very pleased, having made the first mistake to go 2-1 behind and looking certain to go 3-1 behind, that he was able to get in there and tie the scores up. And all three results still possible in this match.
And we're just looking at Jimmy's best performances on the IPA circuit over the last sort of 12-18 months. And certainly it's been evident this year that he's certainly upped his game. You know, we've seen that in the Premier League, but it was in the build-up to the Premier League. There were signs. Obviously, he got to the final of the Welsh Professional, and you know, pretty consistent in some of the other events. But his general form has been a lot better this year.
Yeah, I was chatting to him earlier about it. In 2 years or so ago at the Scottish Open, he was all but done. He'd had enough. He was frustrated. He lost all his form, had no confidence, and he's not really entirely sure how he's managed to sort of turn that round. But he really has, from that moment on, really just gone in the right direction and looks dangerous in every event he plays.
Yeah, it simply comes down to confidence and playing with belief and confidence, and it's amazing what difference it can make. Certainly wouldn't have changed anything technically. Still playing it the same way, but as in any sport, you know, confidence plays such an important role.
Yeah, so I'm told. Hopefully one day I'll get to play a match with some confidence, but you never know.
Just get my violin out there for you now, Simon.
Yeah, I'm happy watching them from the commentary box, and really enjoyed to see Jimmy's progress over the last couple of years. Actually, it's been nice to see him come back to some form and to see him playing with that confidence that you talk about.
Yeah, and it's also sends out a message to you know, some of the other professionals who are not you know, not the high-profile ones, but just shows, you know, what can be done. You know, string a few results together, and you know, you could be the Premier League. It's as simple as that. So just shows what can be done with a little bit of grit, determination, and you know, obviously a little bit of luck at the right times as well. But yeah, certainly been a great achievement from Jimmy this year.
All right, he's going to need some help from Mark Boyle if he's to get a win in this match. Mark is marching on towards a 3-2 lead. I think the red that is between the yellows, he can throw that in with some side into the corner pocket, and if this drops, they are all there for him.
Yeah, see the right-hand side that he's playing. But that's not great.
He's left himself dead straight, so the shot getting down to the next couple of reds is going to be tricky. He may not look to get that close to the reds and have to play the next shot from distance.
Yeah, how adventurous is he going to be? He may play this with a bit of reverse side and screw, just to zip that white down to create the angle. But he's got to control this next shot. He's only got a small area to play in.
If the red above the yellow goes to the bottom left, then this is not a problem. If he has to hold the white for the centre pocket, then this is a very delicate shot. And it is the hold shot.
And he's missed the pot as a result.
He missed that thin. I really do think he was trying to hold the white. And he misses it thin, which is why the white runs on as well.
Looks for all the money that's going in, but it didn't. And a lifeline for Jimmy.
Yeah, and Jimmy needs one very good positional shot here. Just using his extension, trying to work it out, but that yellow that's nearest the black, it only goes to the left centre pocket or the top left pocket. So he needs to get the white somewhere in between the yellow and black. And I suspect he'll leave it as his last ball.
He's lifting the cue up. This is increasing the difficulty of the pot. Calls the miss. Head in his hands. See again. I thought he may have just run this through, just make sure of the pot, but he's gone for the difficult pot. By lifting his cue up, and oh, that's a sweet positional shot there.
And that was back-to-back missed pots from Jimmy as well. I was just trying to think that was his first shot after making that really bad mistake in the previous frame, so really feeling it now.
Yeah, I don't think that was the time to be making the going for the difficult shot. I think he should have just focused on cueing it, stroked it in. He still had a shot afterwards, but he increased the degree of difficulty of the shot, and unfortunately just wasn't up to making it, and let Mark back in to pinch the frame.
Yeah, and that those couple of missed pots from Jimmy, they've really cost him in this match so far, and he is 3-2 behind, so he can only earn himself a draw tonight. So best case scenario for Jimmy Carney is a 1-point night, which isn't going to be great for him, but Mark Boyle's got an opportunity to complete another victory and continue this fantastic form he's shown in phase 2.
Absolutely, and it could almost secure a place in the top 4. It certainly will move him a step closer. But he's certainly come to the party in this second stage of the Premier League. That's for certain. Showing his class.
Yeah, it really has. He was a pot or two away from going out at phase 1. Had to come up with a couple of incredible shots to keep himself in the tournament, and he's from there. He's got going, isn't he? Start to really fly in this event.
Yeah, certainly upped his game, and he's been in sparkling form these last 2 nights.
Of course, he completes his action in the group stage with or the league stage tonight. He's got one more match tonight versus Gareth Hibbert, but he's not involved in the final qualifying night next week. So he needs to set a total and hope it's enough.
Where's that white going? It's trying its best to be knocked in. He must have thought that white was going to be knocked in. It was heading for the bag there. The red tried, then the red and the yellow tried.
That's incredible.
He's probably not even left a pot on.
Oh, I think he's left this horrible.
Has he left yellow into the centre?
Might be touching ball. In fact, it was touching ball. So there's no foul there. Those of you slightly confused what's going on, he was already touching the red, so the only thing he needed to do to fulfill a legal shot was to hit a cushion, which he did. And he was trying to get that a bit safer. He's given Jimmy some options.
So is he going to go for the skill shot first attempt? It looks good. He's played that well.
It is good. He has played that well, but has he got a good pot on? I think he's going to be looking at yellows, but does he have a yellow available?
Yeah, I think he's got a yellow straight into the centre bag.
Of course, he still has the option of reds should he choose, but as you say, Kev, the yellow does go to the centre pocket.
Oh, Jimmy, that is so careless. He's done the hard work and then missed an absolute sitter. It's just not quite happening for him. I can't see Mark Boyle in the form he's in.
Of course, Mark still has the choice of reds or yellows, but has chosen reds. So that red below the black's going to be tricky to get on. got to be quite precise. It does go to the bottom right corner. Probably does go to the bottom left corner, but there's not much room to get to it past the black.
I wonder if Mark realised it was still an open table.
Possibly not, because you feel that yellows are an easier finish.
Yeah, I thought he would have gone for yellows, but
Especially the way the yellow that Jimmy missed has gone down to the corner pocket to be a really perfect last ball for the black.
this is tricky. He's digging down, makes the pot a lot harder. And he's missed it. And he's completely mistimed that one. And Jimmy Carney has got a lifeline. Can he hold himself together after the last 5 minutes that he's had? Or he's been all at sea, really. But he's got a chance to redeem himself and to secure a point when it looked like all was lost.
Well, they are all there for him. This is as natural a pattern as you could see. Just needs to hold himself together. I think you're absolutely right, though, Kev. I think that was a great call. I don't think Mark realised that yellows were an option. I think he came to the table thinking, I need to clear up reds, and although I still thought he'd go close to clearing up reds, they were a lot harder than yellows.
Yeah, like you say, with the yellow near that corner pocket, it was a natural last ball for the black. But I think he's just misjudged the situation there. Doesn't have to do too much with this, just bounce the white a foot, maybe 2 feet off the top cushion. So he's just got to hold himself together now. Just wants to stun this in. He can play it firm, or he can play it with slow drag, which he's played. And this black to rescue a point, which will certainly feel like a bonus for Jimmy.
Yeah, that black's going to make his drive back to Essex feel a little bit better. Wasn't the best night's work for Jimmy, but he does earn himself a point with that 3-3 draw with Mark Boyle. And you see there the mistakes were starting to build up from Jimmy. Those 3 missed pots and the foul were all in the last couple of frames, and probably looked like it was going to cost him, but missed pot from Mark gave him one more opportunity and he was able to take it. So we've got one more match left tonight, and it is going to be Gareth Hibbert versus Mark Boyle, and that will be after the break. Welcome back to the IPA Free Sports Premier League of Poole. We have just seen a dramatic 3-3 draw between Jimmy Carney and Mark Boyle. Keeps Jimmy Carney in the top 4, the all-important top 4. And we have one more match tonight, and it is Gareth Hibbert versus Mark Boyle. So when you look at the league table there, Gareth Hibbert needs to win it to go level on points with the top 4. So huge match for Gareth Hibbert. And it's a massive match for Mark Boyle because it is his last match in the Premier League tonight. He will have no matches next week, and he needs to as many points as possible to see if he can hold on to a top 4 place. We'll have a look at the head-to-head between Gareth and Mark.
You can see there they met in the Premier League way back in week 3. 4-all tie. It's going to be close again tonight. And they met very recently again in the final of the British Open and the final IPA Tour event of the season. Last Saturday night in a thrilling final that Boyle just got over the line 7-5, but it was a great final.
It really was, and good to see Gareth back in a final. It'd been a year or so from his previous final, and he looked to be in fine form throughout the day, and just came up short in 7-5.
So as you say, this is Boyle's last match in this phase of the Premier League, and I think only a victory is what he needs. Anything less and he's going to be watching on next week, worried about his future progress. So it's going to be a big ask to get the 3 points against Gareth, but he's shown that in the last 2 nights that he's in some pretty red-hot form.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if he wins, he's going to be safe. If he draws or loses, he's going to be in a bit of trouble.
He's going to be twitching next week.
He's going to take some. He's going to probably have to get a couple of results to go his way, but a win tonight, or win now, will seal it, I think.
It's a big match for Gareth as well, because he needs to close that gap on the top 4. Jimmy's just there in 4th place, but he's got 3 matches next week, although he's got 3 tough ones against Craig Marsh, Neil Rayburn and Simon Ward. So you know, he just needs to get what he can this week, and then
Gareth's currently sitting 3 points outside of the top 4, so a win takes him level with a couple of matches to go. So it's just as we expected, every match is so important. Every shot, every frame, it really is incredibly tight.
Yeah, we're going to see the permutations change frame by frame, match by match next week.
Yeah, I might have to bring a pad and some paper and a calculator for next week to try and work it out as we're going along. This is going to be tight.
We'll need a few fingers and thumbs to get us through next Tuesday to see who makes it through to the semi-finals. But one thing's for certain, it's going to be edge of your seat stuff, great excitement, great pool, and can't wait to see it.
So in this match, in this frame, Mark has kind of potted himself into a bit of a problem. He's got a red on the side rail there that is awkward. It doesn't go anywhere. Possibly could double, but you can't really get into it because it's blocked off from the black. So this is tricky.
Wow, he's left himself a shot, I think.
Yeah, he was knew he was long odds there to get into it, but he was catch the black full, try and get the black going into the red, but he's at least he hasn't potted the black, and he gets to play the next shot, but it's going to have to be a spectacular one.
I think he's got a cross double or he's got a skill shot option. I think he's going cross double. No, he went for the cock tap off 2 cushions. The skill shot was tight, but I thought he may have had that on. Difficult to tell. But advantage back with Gareth now in this first frame.
Extension called.
We've seen that a number of times tonight from a few players where they kind of haven't been able to work out a bad ball and ended up having to come up with something creative and hasn't quite come off. So there's been quite a few situations like this where the opponent comes to the table with a good opportunity to counter clear. And that's not a great first shot from Gareth Hibbert.
It certainly isn't. He's going to have to leave the white in this sort of quadrant where the black is. But he's going to leave Mark some sort of shot, I think, unless he can snooker him. But he knows he's got to hit a cushion. Clock's ticking. He's used his extension. Yeah, he has left a shot.
Yeah, so he hasn't got the snooker. So the good news for Gareth is the red doesn't go directly to the corner. The bad news is he left it wide open for Mark to come up with something creative, and you give these great players an opportunity to do something, and you kind of almost half expect them to go close.
Yep. I think the double is on, but so is the treble. Hold on tight. It looks close. What a great shot.
A brilliant shot from Mark Boyle, and that will win him this first frame. And that really is, you know, an incredible way to win a frame, and Gareth will be really frustrated because he knows he should have done better. A poor first positional shot, and safety shot wasn't exactly ideal, but it still required Mark to come up with a great shot, but he has managed it. And we're going to go and get a few words with Jimmy Carney.
Jimmy, that was a vital point for you in the end there. I've just seen you with your calculator out, looking at all the permutations. Do you still think 21 points is enough?
No idea, to be honest. It should have been more tonight, but that point could be huge. Yeah, I'm just glad tonight's over and look forward to Tuesday.
You've got a big week next week, 3 big matches against Simon Ward, Craig Marsh, Neil Rayburn. What do you think you're going to have to get out of those matches to secure your spot?
I still think maybe 22 is a mark. So a draw and a win, I'm hoping will be good enough. But you know, I've just got to do that. I can't say it. I've got to do it. Tonight I was awful. The fact I got a point, I think I've had a result there. I could easily have taken 6 points. I'm being brutally honest there. But the game's just not that easy. It was tough tonight for me for whatever reason. But I'm happy with a point at the end of it.
Yeah, it was a good point in the end because it looked like you were going to come away with no points. You were 2-1 up in the match, and you were on your last ball, and all of a sudden the white had gone in off, and the match sort of turned around a little bit.
Yeah, I was worried that if I get into it too much, I'll get too high on the black. So I've just tried to be a bit cute and get real close. So I went up on the white a couple of notches, didn't hit it particularly well, and played a good billiard shot.
Yeah, it was a strange match. There was a few uncharacteristic mistakes from you and Mark, but as you say, a good point in the end.
Yeah, definitely a good point. It's not easy out there. It's short races. We just all trying so hard, but perhaps too hard, to avoid maybe putting ourselves off.
Do you feel like the pressure's really ramping up now, match by as each match goes on in the Premier League?
I felt it tonight for the first time in the whole competition. It's heating up now. And I know I could quite easily be out next week, so I'm going to hit the practice table hard. I'm actually going to have a day off, then hit the practice table hard. I need big results next week, and it's hard for everybody.
Well, thanks for your time, Jimmy, and good luck next week.
Thank you. Cheers.
It's great to get Jimmy's thoughts after his night's work. Pretty fair assessment, I think. Overall, it wasn't definitely his worst night in the Premier League so far, and happy to get a point. But because of all the good work he's done previously, is still in his hands, which is important.
Yeah, that point that he rescued there against Mark Boyle could be his saviour come Judgment Night 2 next Tuesday. So we'll see how that all pans out for Jimmy next week. But he's got 3 tough matches next week.
Yeah, it's not just making the point himself, it's you stopped Mark from getting 3 points, limiting him to 1, so he stays above Mark. I think that was important. And following on from that amazing shot in the first frame of this match, he is Mark that is worked his way through this very, very quickly in simple red and black for a reverse finish. Put himself 2-0 ahead.
Yeah, that was a body blow to Gareth Hibbert, that double from Mark Boyle. Very difficult double, but absolutely nailed it. And from being in complete control in that frame and looking like going 1-0 up, quick as a flash, Gareth Hibbert's going to be 2-0 down. That's just how quickly things change in the Premier League.
Yeah, and you can sort of sense it, can't you? You know that if he had managed to hide the white so that it was snookered, then it's less likely that Mark was going to be able to do anything. The minute he could get a full look at that red, you just felt he's going to get this going close to a corner pocket or a pocket somewhere. And that's exactly what happened. And in these shot races, it's an absolute killer.
Gareth looking calm, both players looking calm. But inside they'll be geeing themselves up to try and get to 4 and secure the 3 points. So Gareth with it all to do.
He still looks very relaxed though. Looks like he's just waiting for his next opportunity.
Leading 2 frames to 0. Time running.
Looks certain that Mark was going to make a ball off that break, but he has come up dry. And it looks messy, but actually it probably a pretty good chance here on yellows for Gareth.
Yeah, he's going to get first opportunity in this frame, and 100% he's going to be going for yellows. So just the one yellow that's close to a red. Everything else out in the open. Using his extension, even though he's got an easy pot, he just wants to be really clear about the pattern and how he goes about getting onto that yellow that's nearest the red and then the black.
Didn't need to cannon that to open it up, it still went, but does that for the control.
The yellow that's nearest the red in the centre of the table, he won't leave that till the end. He'll try and get rid of that in the next 2 or 3 shots. Well, the next shot even.
Yeah, it's a terrible ball to get onto the black, so although it's not too bad to get on it into the corner, to get onto the black off it is not ideal.
Yeah, he played that well, did Gareth. Got the white out from a little area. Good position, he can just stroke this in. He's looking good to pull a frame back, get right back into this match.
That doesn't look ideal. I think he needed a little bit more on that. Has he got just enough angle to punch this out?
Yeah, I think he just underhit that one a little bit. He would have preferred the white ball to have been a little bit further away from the cushion. Should still be okay, but just makes it a little bit harder than it should have been. He may have to leave this at distance. He's used his extension. He was looking up there to see if he'd used it. And he's going to be some awkward queuing. And again, that all boiled down to a poor positional shot on his on his third to last yellow. And now he's got a horrible shot. Oh, that's a superb shot.
Yeah, it's incredible. Very, very well played from Gareth. Put himself under a bit of pressure with that black, but stroked it in without a problem. So it makes the scores 2-1 to Mark Boyle. And really it's the that great shot that Mark pulled out to win frame one that's the difference in this match. And we will see how this match concludes after the break. Welcome back to the Free Sports Premier League of Pool. We are on our final match of the night. Gareth Hibbert taking on Mark Boyle. And it is currently 2-1 to Mark Boyle. And as we've said a couple of times already, this is Mark Boyle's final match in phase 2 of this event. He's currently in 4th place. Top 4 qualify for finals night. He's on 20 points. 20 points probably will not be enough to qualify because other players have frames and matches in hand. So a very, very important match for Mark Boyle. Also a very important match for Gareth Hibbert. He is sitting outside of the top 4 on 15 points, and needs to get. He's got 2 matches next week, and he needs to get a move on for him to finish in the top 4 as well. It's a decent opportunity for Mark. He's got the red above the black. That's his biggest problem. It does go to the bottom left. If it goes to the bottom right, then it's not a problem at all, but I think it's a bit too tight for that. I think the fact that he's played on it now suggests that it doesn't, so he's played on it to the bottom left. He would have loved that white to travel an extra few inches to be able to get the white up and out into the middle of the table with ease. Okay, so maybe it does go past the black to the corner. And it doesn't, I think it's certainly not a full pocket, but he's played on it into that pocket, so must go. You see that grimace from Mark. He knows if he finishes straight on this red to the top right, it's as simple as it can be. It's 3 drop-ins. Now he's just got to play a nice little positional shot, and the pot's just a little bit trickier. Awkward queuing, cutting it back. But controlled nicely, and now it is a simple job of 2 drop-in pots. And in goes the black, so Mark Boyle moves 3-1 ahead and is guaranteed a point in this match. And that is the 3rd consecutive reverse dish. Both players struggling to get a ball off their own break and being punished by their opponent. 2 reverse dishes from Mark and 1 from Gareth. And there is the league table. That is what we're talking about. Gareth Hibbert wins this match, well, or gets he can't win this match now, sorry. Mark Boyle's guaranteed to go to 21 points. Will 21 points be enough? Gareth Hibbert, he's got 2 matches left next week. In fact, yes, no, he's got 2 matches left next week, so if he only gets a point tonight, moves to 16, means he can get to 22 points. If he loses this match, he'll stay on 15 and then can only get to 21 points and would not be able to catch Mark Boyle. So it's looking very tricky at the moment for Gareth Hibbert and Craig Marsh.
Time running.
So Mark manages to break the trend and make a ball. And this will be his first opportunity to win the match.
Extension called.
Good break from Mark, really, really good split. It's one of those splits that you would be absolutely shocked for Mark not to get to the black, but It's what's he going to do with the black. The black is the biggest problem. He has options. He can play on the black to the bottom left-hand corner. He could play the red off the yellow. Delicate shot. The yellow looks a little bit too far away from the cushion to make that a comfortable shot. I think Mark will probably prefer just to back himself to play on that black. There is enough room there. And Mark's left himself a choice of reds to either corner pocket. This is all about the angle you leave on your last red to get on the black. 3 reds can be taken in a number of different orders. And that was the ball I was thinking if he wanted to, he could clear the yellow a little bit, but probably wasn't worth the risk. We'll back his cue ball control over trying to do that. Controlled that very nicely. And this black for the match. It's a little bit thinner and a little bit trickier than it looks on screen. This camera angle gives a very good look at the angle. But in it goes. It's a great performance from Mark Boyle. Manages to win the match 4-1. 2 reverse dishes and a break dish. And just shows how clinical he was in that match. There you go, there's the 2 reverse dishes and a break dish. No missed pots, no fouls. Very, very good performance from Mark Boyle in that match. A match that Gareth struggled to get into. 2 breaks, 2 dry breaks. The first frame of this match, though, you can't help but feel was key, where Mark did not manage to clear up and left his last ball on the table, and you felt that Gareth should have won that frame, but gave Mark an opportunity to come up with something creative, and he did, and ended up going on to a 4-1 victory. Yeah, no major mistakes really from either player. A pretty high standard game overall, and I think that means Mark's job in this Premier League is pretty much done, and that confirms it. He's gone from bottom place to top place. 14 matches played, 23 points, and he now can't be caught and will be in the finals night. Gareth Hibbert, he has got 2 matches left, and he is going to need to win at least 2 of those, or at least 1 of those, if not 2 of those, I should say. And same goes for Craig Marsh. But it looks almost certain that Mark Boyle and Neil Raybone are through to finals night. And this is what we've got coming up for you next week. We've got Neil Raybone, Simon Ward, Jimmy Carney, Gareth Hibbert and Craig Marsh battling out. Mark Boyle is the only player not involved next week. And there are a number of different things that can happen. We're still no clearer on seeing who will make it through to the finals night. And all that action will come to you next Tuesday night live on Free Sports. And that wraps up the action here in Solihull. And from everyone here, good night.